Top of the evening, top of the Sunday evening, y'all. It's your boy B Jizzle. We are live back in the lab on a two-a-day. That's right. Some of y'all didn't catch me earlier, but we're on the second go-round here today, as promised. Episode 3 with our new guests. Y'all know my Facebook Fanatic podcast. I'm featuring super fans in the Dallas Cowboy fan base on Sundays now, leading into the regular season, and we'll move till Saturdays, but more on that. But we got episode 3 going down today with Jamie of Hazlet, Texas, near the DFW Stockyards, and Star Mobile One. That's right. This guy literally went to Amazon, purchased parts off of Amazon, had them shipped to his house, and built a whole hot rod. And oh, by the way, he's had 100 former and current Dallas Cowboy players autograph his car. That's right, y'all. It's time to tap in. We got Facebook Fanatic episode 3 going down. We're streaming live on 3 platforms. Shout out to Built Different Group, all of our Green Bed supporters. This would not be possible without you. Shout out to all of our Green Bedders. If you're tapping in right now, let us know. I see you, Jalen. What up, baby? Appreciate you tapping in. Let us know in the comments if you're tapping in, where you're watching from. Let's go, Green Bedders. I need you to like and share the video. More people need to know about Jamie and Star Mobile One. Let me tell you something. I got the ride in this car. Oh, buddy. I mean, to have a whole Cowboys hot rod. Now, I know some of y'all got cars out there and everything, but this is the only one right here. Shout out to everybody on LinkedIn. Shout out to all my veterans on Military Creator Con. It will be located out there near Jamie in the Fort Worth area, May of 2027. So shout out to Military Creator Con, all my veterans on LinkedIn, and shout out to all of our subs on YouTube. We appreciate y'all tuning in. So special guest today, he's waiting in the green room. Let's just bring him to the show because it's hot in Texas right now, y'all, and he's in his garage. Let's welcome my guy Jamie Opelt, Star Mobile, to the show. How we doing, Jamie?
We're doing great. It's a mild 104 right here in the shop, so we're doing great right now, Barry. Thank you for having me on.
Man, a mild 104. I mean,
yes.
What's hot to you? That's what I want to know. 104 is not mild to me.
Well, the sun is starting to go down, so that's a little bit of help there.
Okay. Well, good deal. I see you sitting in front of your beautiful car and your big garage out there in Hazlet, Texas. But before we get to the beauty, I always like to talk to the folks that I bring on to get some background about them. So tell everybody here who you are. First, how did you become a Cowboys fan? Let's talk about that, Jamie.
All right. So my name is Jamie Opelt, and I'm born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas. Have lived here all of my life. So growing up a Cowboys fan, there was nothing but for me to do that. And so I was born in 1972. Started with that first Super Bowl there. I'd like to take credit for it, but I was a little young. It wasn't until I was 7 years old, my dad took me to my first NFL and Cowboys game at Texas Stadium in 1979. It was against the Rams, and I think the Cowboys ended up winning 30-6 that year. And it was just that was the spark for me at that point in time. What I'll tell you is that at a young age, a couple years later, my parents got divorced. And I tell this story, I tell it to all the players as well. When they signed, the men of the house for me on Sundays became the Dallas Cowboys offensive line and defensive line. Randy White's, the Landry era, the Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett, Drew Pearson, all those guys. They just were close to my heart at that time because I was stuck right there in front of the TV at a time that those guys were the men of the house for me. And what I'll tell you is that I've seen the good, the bad, the good, the bad. So, and when people tell me that we had a bad season, it's 12-5. Bad seasons were in the late 80s when I remember local grocery stores were actually having to step in, if you can imagine this, and buy tickets on Thursday afternoon so the games would not be TV blacked out.
Wow.
On Sunday. So if you can imagine that as a Cowboys fan and remember back that time, that's how long I've been a Cowboys fan. And of course, going into the 90s, you had the great trade robbery. I was graduating high school at that time, setting up the next decade, though, for an era of starter jackets and 3 Super Bowl rings.
Nice. So born and raised in Texas, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And who might be your favorite Cowboys fan?
By far, Randy White.
Wow, it's
By
interesting you
far.
say that because you say the man of the house and Randy White, because you got a special connection with your Star Mobile One when it comes to Randy White, right?
So back in 2020, I was actually nominated by Randy White for the Ford Hall of Fans, and he showed up on my doorstep and actually became the first player to sign Star Mobile One.
Wow. Your favorite player was the first guy to not only sign your car, but he nominated you for the Ford Hall of Fans. Would you tell everybody a little bit about what Ford Hall of Fans is? Because fans may get confused with the NFL Fan of the Year.
Right. Yeah. So the Ford Hall of Fans was kind of prior to the NFL Fan of the Year. So I believe that they actually continued it for about 4 years. And then I think that the NFL Fan of the Year kind of took over, if you will. But there were several years that I think Stoney Kirsch, superfan Stoney Kirsch was on there, Sue Short.
Correct.
For the Cowboys.
Yeah, Playmaker came to his house and
Super
told him he was
Cowboy.
up.
Super Cowboy, I think, was the last year that Ford Hall of Fans actually did that. And then I think it was taken over. I'm not sure who the sponsor was on that, but I know the NFL Fan is now it's the Fan of the Year. So,
well, thank you for sharing that because I was wondering what the difference between those programs were, but it looked like Ford Hall of Fans just didn't quite get up and running. And I think the NFL Fan of the Year may have just adopted that and said, hey, we're going to make this league wide.
I believe so. And maybe they just wanted to incorporate a few more people too.
Yeah, shout out to Stoney Kirsch. Yeah, the Playmaker stopped by Stoney Smithsonian, told him about the Ford Hall of Fans as well. And then also you mentioned Super Cowboy, who my guy, Drew Pearson, who also has autographed your car as the fourth guy had Super Cowboy nominated. So let's talk about this car. Like when you woke up one day, you just said, I'm going to build a hot rod for the Dallas Cowboys, for my love for the Cowboys.
So what I'll tell you is that I was never a gearhead in school, but I always loved cars, and I loved the old style cars, the old Fords. And so I always wanted to build one, but I knew if I was left to go out to a junkyard and try to figure out what was good and bad on a car, I would fail miserably. So I know you were joking around with Amazon, but I actually came across a company called Factory 5 Racing, and they sell these kits. And they actually provide a 3-day build school that you could go to, and I attended that, and a 750-page manual. So when I decided that I was going to build a car, I knew first and foremost that it was going to be Cowboys themed. I had to have something drive me through it to the completion. You know, I'm a project guy, but I like to start projects on Fridays and end them on Sundays. And so you can't just do that with a car. But so Factory 5, they had a great community, helped support me throughout the build. I received the car actually as one welded chassis, a custom welded chassis, 11 raw fiberglass body panels, 3,500 pieces of hardware, including 1.5 miles of wiring, and a 750-page manual to get me through. Now, they let you add the engine, the transmission, the wheels, and tires, and I did all that. But starting with brand new parts for the entire car, what it let me do is let me make some modifications. And as I walk around here in a few minutes, I'll talk you through some of the things that we did differently than what comes with the kit.
Right. Now I've got your website up. You can check the link in the comments if you're just tuning in. If you got questions for Jamie and his hot rod here, I was joking about Amazon, but everybody gets it. Thank you for sharing. It was actually Factory 5. But if you take a look in the background, you've got images of his build here. His link is in the comments below. But stay tuned because he's going to take the phone off and he's going to show us around the vehicle, you know, once we get through some of these questions. So now that we got how you became a Cowboy fan, we know that Master is your favorite Cowboy of all time. He was the first guy. You know, did that happen? Was that the first signature that happened at the Ford Hall of Fans, or did Master stop by and sign before?
Actually, so they built it up as that they were coming in town to do a photo shoot of about 10 fans. Mm-hmm. And so actually he showed up unbeknownst to me, knocked on the door. I thought it was actually an Amazon person dropping off a package. And finally the guy that was running the interview actually said, well, go ahead. It's a good time. I've got to change out my battery. And so I went and answered the door, and my jaw just dropped because there was Randy White standing in his gold Hall of Fame jacket with his ring. and just walked right in the door. And then we walked on out, and I showed him the hot rod. And, of course, I asked him if he wouldn't mind being the first player to sign.
Man, you know, sometimes when the stars align, they just align, Jamie.
Well, you're exactly right.
And speaking of that, I want to talk a little bit about some Cowboys football here because I know you keep up with the team too. I want to know, what's the buzz like out there in Hazlet, the DFW Stockyard area, about America's team coming up this season?
Oh, man, you know, it's always our year. I've got it written on my board over there. It's our year. No worries.
Yeah. I mean, is there a buzz out there in Hazlet, DFW area?
I think everybody was pretty happy with the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we you know, training camp is always, I know I always look at it as there's always one hiccup in training camp. It always seems like we either lose somebody by injury, something happens. So now that we're starting training camp and they're headed out to Oxnard, we'll have to see what happens. What is it this year? The Cowboys always seem to be able to focus on defense or offense. It's been a while since they've had really good both offense and defense. And I mean, if you want to go ahead and throw special teams in there as well, just played complementary football. And so I'm really hopeful that Dak is able to come back and have another really great season this year.
Mm-hmm.
And just see what these new guys can step up and do. You know, it's not, to be honest, if we're being completely honest, being better on defense is not going to be a huge challenge this year. So
correct. I just said if we can go from the bottom to the middle of the pack, that'll be the difference. Right. Because despite last season, you know, if defense could have just got us a couple more games, it might have been a little bit different. But Sterling's tapping in, and he's got a question for you. He says, so is that your only car, or did you catch the bug and have others?
So, no, I do have a daily driver. But what I will tell you is when I decided to build a car for me, cars with round tires are meant to drive. There's museums for cars that don't get driven. This thing just passed 40,000 miles. I put roughly about 7,500 miles a year on the car. I'll do about 300, or I've done about 300 charity events with the car as well. And so that's how I spend most of my time with the car, doing local car shows. I hit up a couple charity events as well. And so I do try to get it out on a daily basis as long as weather's permitting, just to get the car up to temperature, because that's the best thing for a car, especially a car like this, is to drive it.
Okay. And so once you got your factory 5 parts, I don't know if you actually enclosed this, but how long did it take you from the time you began to the time you completed it?
Yeah. So what I did was I started in 2017, and I worked on it for 2 years and got it to what we call the go-kart stage. And basically what that means is that you can drive the car down the road, but it doesn't have the body on it.
Right.
And so I actually drove it down through the neighborhood, just right down the road, and came back in it. And at that point in time, what I realized is that the car was turning out so good that I didn't want to be the one to screw up the paint and the interior, because it was fully my intention to finish the car completely. So what I did was I reached out to 121 Rod and Restoration. They're 90 miles up the road, just northeast of Fort Worth. And Corey Ritter and his team had just finished another factory 5 car. So they were familiar with all the nuances of the body, the fiberglass body. And so I brought them in to take care of the final body modifications, the paint, the prep, all that. And then Leo's Upholstery and McKinney put in the interior. Now, I designed both the paint scheme and the interior prior to ever even purchasing the kit. I knew it was going to be a Cowboys car.
Nice. Now, going back to the early days when you said you were, just getting into the football with your pops and all of that. I mean, are you familiar with Crazy Ray? I know this might be a rhetorical question.
I do.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I saw him at games. I did not personally meet him, but to me, he's the ultimate super fan.
Yeah, tell everybody who may be tapping in, who might not know who Crazy Ray is, especially some of these newer Cowboy fans. Yeah. Tell everybody who Crazy Ray was.
Oh my gosh, Crazy Ray! I remember him. He used to get into it with the Washington when we played Washington, and they would just go at it. Just if you can just imagine the most ultimate mascot, if you will, because he
Mhm.
truly was a mascot. But he would just go after every mascot from every other team that we played. Just a genuine person too. And God bless the man. That's who I remember when we talk about super fans and ultimate fans. To me, he's just that pedigree.
Correct. And that's part of why this podcast was inspired because of Crazy Ray, his legacy. Also, Miss Carolyn Price, which I'm familiar. I know you were familiar. You met her. She's just passed this year. We're losing some of our, OG super fans. And this is a big reason why I wanted to bring you on this podcast today, because you don't get dressed up and go around and fight mascots and do things with fans at games. You went and built a car.
Right.
And that's a little super fanish to me. So if you're tapping in on one of our channels right now, if you got a question for Jamie, he's getting ready to walk us around the vehicle here shortly. Let us know if you have questions. I see some stars coming in. Thank you from Michelle from ATL. We see you tapping in. Sterling, we appreciate the stars. We appreciate the support here today. But if you got questions for him, attach some stars to it. We'll definitely get it up. If not, throw your questions in the comments. We want to make sure Jamie asks it. So is there a favorite moment that you've had with any of the 100 players that have signed your car to date?
Well, of course, number one was the best and the most memorable. But what I'll tell you is every signature comes with a little bit of a story from a player, and those are the things that you just really hold close to you because nobody can take those away. And I remember when Bob Lilly was signing. First and foremost, Bob Lilly, this man, crawled into the floorboard of that car to sign the car. And then he spent about 2 minutes. It's taken him longer than any other player to sign the car because he was so concerned he did not want to sign over anybody else's signature. And so after he was done, he told me, he said, Jamie, he said, I was making $11,000 for the Cowboys. Just hear that for a minute. $11,000 for the Cowboys. And he told me, he said, I was offered $8,500 to be a coach. And he said, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot less hits that you have to take as a coach. And he said, but he said, I wouldn't trade the decision I made to stay with the Cowboys for anything. And that one there, of course, it resonated with me just because he's such a genuine man. I will also tell you that right after Randy White had signed the car, the third player to sign was Ed Too Tall Jones. And Ed Too Tall Jones, as he's reaching down and signing, he's turning around to me and he's saying, the next time you see Randy White, you tell Randy White I signed over his signature and he'll know why.
I love it. I love it. You're right. There's got to be a story behind every signature. Now, you shared with me in the green room, you said that when you initially built this, you didn't build it to have Cowboy players sign it. So talk about the story on how the autograph with Manster, how that began.
Yeah, so I intended, we left the dash clean on it. When you see the car, you'll see that the dash, without the signatures, of course, would have been just a blank space. And so I really intended to have maybe one, maybe three signatures on it. I never expected that we'd be sitting here today talking about 100 signatures plus being on this vehicle. And if I can just explain for a moment too, that it's not me carrying a jersey or a football helmet to a player in a line and having them sign that. It's them physically getting to the car, being able to do that and sign that signature on the car. So that makes it a little bit more challenging to try to get players to sign. Fortunately enough, I've had players such as Mel Renfro, John Nyland, actually asked me out to their house to sign the car.
That's pretty cool, because my next question is, I don't know if you're familiar with the game GTA, Grand Theft Auto.
Yes, I am.
But did you get any GTA signatures? Like you was rolling around Dallas and you seen a player and you said, "Skirt, hey, come sign the car."
No, it doesn't really work out that way. What I will tell you is there's been several charity events that I've gone to, the Catch an Angel golf tournament, to where I think the most players that I've had at one time I had 7 sign at one event.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. And then George Teague, Kevin Smith, Beasley Reese, and Billy Davis all signed at an event downtown Fort Worth too.
Nice. Okay. All right. We got another question coming in here from the audience. He asked, does your house look the same as your car?
So I do have a media room that is all decked out in Cowboys memorabilia, if you will. One thing I want to state, I know we talked a little bit about super fandom there. There's probably a lot of team supporters that are much more dedicated than I am. I know that's hard to believe probably, but with regards to being at every home game, those types of things, I know that there's fans out there that take that to the next level. But what I'll tell you is that to me, you know, being a super fan, it's not something you wake up in the morning, you all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm a super fan. It's not a morning affirmation, if you will. Right. And it's not something that you bestow on yourself. It's something that's given to you by your peers. And it's mainly built for me off of the things that you choose to do outside of the season and what you do with your time and how you project yourself. You know, we all get put in positions to where we can kind of benefit others around us. And I think that I've been blessed with building this car. And it's one of the reasons I've probably been able to get 100 signatures is that I've taken that to another level and been able to give back to the community that I've lived in all my life.
Well, getting back to those signatures, we've got another question coming in. Michelle from ATL says, is there a player signature that you want you have not gotten yet?
Yeah, so there's several. There's Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman. To take that a little further, Jerry Jones, CeeDee Lamb, if we're talking current players. I'd also like to get Tyron Smith. I was a huge fan of Tyron Smith when he played for the Cowboys, and I'd love to have him sign.
So my question is, because you know I like the 88s, and I know the original was the fourth player to sign your car. How many total 88s have signed your car?
So I've got two, and I'd really love to have Dez Bryant and CeeDee Lamb finish that out.
What? Dez Bryant, all that driving around, and he hasn't, man, come on, y'all. Y'all need to tag Dez Bryant. Look, all of the 88s are now on Facebook.
Please do so.
Yeah, tag Dez Bryant down in the comments below. Tag CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is now on Facebook. That's right. We've got all 44s. We got to get the 88 club to sign Jamie's car. It's got to happen this season. We got to get it done before we get that ring.
Sir. Yes,
because
sir.
That was going to be my next question. Which of the favorite 88s would you want to have signed the most? Was it the original first, or is it Dez or CD? Which one is the favorite that you'd like to get?
For me, Drew Pearson will always be the original 88. It was I loved Michael Irvin signing as well. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit here, just a second. No matter how I've got 100 signatures on this car. No matter what event I do, the kids that come up to me, the first thing they ask is, "Do you have CD's signature?" And so I have to tell them no.
They're gonna do a quick credit check on you, huh? Do you got any good players? Is CD on there? Because if not, we're not interested.
That's right.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta love it. Well, I don't think it should be too hard because CD is active out there in the community. I know Dez is too, and I think it's just a matter of, you know, you crossing paths with those players and that marrying up, because nobody's just knocking your door down, I would think, to come and sign your car per se. Because let's talk about the 100th signature you recently got, which was an active player.
Quinnen Williams, yeah. Super
How did that
nice.
happen? How did that
nice
happen?
Guy. So I actually reached out to him. He was doing a signing out at the DFW Card Show. And so I actually went out there and I caught him and was able to get him to sign the car and be the 100th player to sign. And it's cool. He was telling me that him and his stepfather had just finished building a car and he was going to be bringing it down and so that he could drive it. So you hear a lot, like I said, you hear a lot of cool stories from these players, because ultimately what you find out is they're just like you and I. They're just like you and I.
100%. Now, another question coming in, it says, are your parents or grandparents also fans? How many generations in your family been Cowboy fans?
So what I'll tell you is that my mother was a huge fan. My dad was a huge fan, but as soon as Landry was fired, he gave up anything on the Cowboys. Ooh. And so, and
I'm sure he wasn't the only one. There's a lot of old heads.
I hear it a lot. I get it a lot. I've heard every joke that there is. I'll share with you that I get the we're number one driving around. I also get the other finger too occasionally.
Even in Dallas, that's what I wanted to ask you.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you know the
Yes, sir.
haters out there flipping you
Yes.
off in Dallas?
I've had Coke cans thrown at me driving down the road.
What?
Yeah. I've had people pull over in front of me and turn their windshield wipers on, the windshield wiper fluid.
Gotta be Eagle fans. Gotta be Eagle fans. It sounds like Pennsylvania school system education.
You know, hey, let me share a quick secret with you, Barry.
Yeah.
And that is that, you know, there's 32 teams in the NFL, and there's fans for 31 of those that want to be us. And it's because they know without Dallas, the NFL wouldn't be the NFL.
Man, who are you telling? And as from a content creator perspective on social media, I see nothing but people doing Cowboys content, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, because we get the clicks, we get the eyeballs, we get the Coke cans thrown at us, we get the windshield wipers turned on us in traffic type of stuff.
That's right.
So what is going on with Star Mobile One this season? Any big things on the schedule as we got a big season upon us?
So I do have, with regards to the car itself, I do have a couple things that I really can't mention right now, but I'm very hopeful that probably within the next 2 months, I should be able to mention something about that. And then just trying to hit up, you know, maybe a couple games, get out there and do some tailgating at a couple games as well, catch up with some of my other fan friends that are out there, and just sit back and watch this, the road to the Super Bowl just start.
Right. Now, we talked about the Ford Hall of Fans earlier, and now we're on to the NFL Fan of the Year. Have you been nominated for NFL Fan of the Year yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. I don't know why. So, you know, I know this season is coming up. I'm looking for a super fan to cast my ballot for. It just makes perfect sense. But again, you know, everybody's definition of super fans are different.
Right.
And, you know, we've had, I think, 5 total fans of the year. And I know, you know, Suitman, James.
Right. Yeah.
Suitman. Well, they got that right with him. They've got it right. Some of these fans we know because of social media, but some not. But I might have to nominate you for fan of the year, because that car right there, I got to ride in that car. And for our backstory, for people tapping in, we met 2 years ago at Playmakers.
Yes.
You know, the guy that signed your vehicle, and man, that was fun to be able to go in there and sit down and you and I have a conversation and begin to get this story and develop this relationship. And then you gave me a ride from, you know, Playmakers over to the Star.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, if you that's got to be the most ultimate ride as a Cowboy fan I've ever had, to go from Playmakers establishment to the Star. So I wanted to give your flowers here today and say thank you for meeting me a couple of years ago in 2024 and giving me the blue carpet treatment, so to speak, with Star Mobile One. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the home opener, because last year you were in the home opener parade where we drove, I think, 5 laps around the stadium.
Yeah.
I think Stash Man may be, you know, ruffling some feathers here soon. We might probably see another parade this year. If there is, are we going to see Star Mobile One in the parade?
Count me in.
That's what I'm talking about. I love it. Well, let's go ahead. Let's do like a little walk around and show us some of the things about the car.
All right, I'll step up, grab the camera, and we'll walk around. And I'll talk you through a few things.
Let's go.
All right.
And if you guys that are still watching and you got questions, throw your questions up in the comments below. Thank you, everybody, for watching on all 3 platforms. This is Jamie Opelt of Hazlet, Texas. Longtime Dallas Cowboy fan. You've probably seen this in commercials. He's been interviewed. He's been on several podcasts, several platforms. He's all over at all the charity events in the Fort Worth area, Dallas Metroplex. But what is the first thing you want to show us about this car, Jamie?
All right. So I think we talked through already that it's a replica of a 1933 Ford. So it is, it's about 1.5 inches wider than what your 33 would be. I know that there's not a lot to kind of compare it to at this point in time. But it was built as an assembled vehicle, a 2019 assembled vehicle, and it is licensed and registered as a street rod. And so what I'll show you here is that, of course, we've got the 8-foot stellar representation of the Cowboys. Let me get this chair out of the way. along the side that you see here. This is what gathers most of those number ones and those fingers that I get thrown at me as I'm driving down the road. But let's go around here to the meat of the car. As you see the interior. And so this is what started it all, is the dashboard. And these are all the players. And if I remember correctly, it's 32 signatures that are across the dash. And I'll show you on the other side when I walk around the Randy White
Show everybody where my favorite player is. Drew Pearson, the original
Pearson is right over there.
Hey.
Right over there underneath Randy White. And I'll get a better shot of him here in a minute, Barry.
Okay.
But you also see the interior that we did here. And so what I'll tell you is I actually reached out as I was building the car, reached out to Wilson Football to see if that they would provide me some actual material. Wilson said that they had a licensing agreement that would not allow them to sell that material to me. And so what we did is we just we put our heads together and came up with another way to get that football material on there. And what I will share with you is, when I'm doing a signing or I've got a few Cowboys that have signed, I always shoot Wilson a picture of this and tell them that, your logo could have been right on that as I was having a couple players sign this. So you guys missed out a little bit there. So I know you can't see it. We'll jump up here to the front. I know it's hard to see the engine. The engine is underneath there. This was a engine cover that I created when I started filling up the dash. I had to come up with some other place for players to sign.
Right.
And so what I did was I actually work in the sheet metal business. So I actually created a custom engine cover. It's in two pieces, and I had it hydro dipped to look like, zoom in here, a football.
Oh, I didn't realize that. It's been cardboard.
It's been hydro dipped to look like a football. And so that finished out, I think, at the time, Rico Dowdle was the first player to actually sign the engine cover. And I do keep this on when I'm driving the car. It actually the car runs about 10 degrees cooler with the engine cover on. Now, I'll show you here while we're up here. A couple car guys have reached out to me about signing the car. I didn't want them to sign the area that was saved for the players, the dash or anything. But you got Danny Coker from Counts Custom. You have Horny Mike from Counts Custom. You have Dave Smith, the owner of Factory 5 Racing, because I was brought out to SEMA back in 2022. And then, of course, we got Aaron Shelby, the grandson of Carol Shelby, signed. And then Shorty Ponce from Shorty's Dream Shop. Signed there. So we do have a couple car guys that have signed the car as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question is, any player signatures you got on there that are your favorite that are non-players?
Non-players would be, so the big one was Aaron Shelby, of course, and then Danny Coker, having him sign. Those were kind of cool too. But I wanted to make it separate from what we were doing with the players. I wanted it to stand on the player's signature and never kind of get clouded. I don't want those car guys signing in with the players. Right. I always wanted to keep that separate. But you can see here as we're jumping around, Tony Dorsett signed there. Cliff Harris. So we got there's 10 Hall of Famers that have signed. Rocket Ismail there. Oso Digazura, sorry to see him leave, but
hey, once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy, right?
You're exactly right. DeMarcus Ware, Darren Woodson as well. And so let's jump back here, though. You guys will notice, anybody that's familiar with cars, you'll also notice that the car does have Kragers on it. And so those are the Krager SS's. This is, they've got 18 8-inch in the front and then 20 10s in the rear. So in other words, it's a staggered stance. It also has a slight rake to it. So it sets a little bit lower in the front than it does in the back. One of the things that stands out to most everybody that people ask me about at car shows and events is what you're looking at right now, and that's the star-shaped exhaust.
Yeah.
And if I can tell you a secret on that, I thought I was going to actually have to manufacture those. Luckily enough, I actually found those as an off-the-shelf product in Australia, of all places. And so I was able to get those. for $40 for the set of stainless pieces there.
Resourceful Jamie, love it, baby.
Yeah,
You didn't have to construct it like you do most everything.
Exactly. So we've got one of the things that we changed is there's usually a oblong rear tail light that goes right in there. We actually filled those up and we went with the 39.4 teardrops. So there are some things that we did different than what actually comes on the car itself with the kit. As you jump up here, this was the busted knuckle cover that we did. This was actually when COVID was hitting. It was March 28th, I believe, of 2020. I remember that because it's the one thing that the Cowboys have really allowed me to do. They actually had me come out and we did the magazine cover shoot right in front of the Star in Frisco. And that kind of kicked things off for me as well, because that was really prior to any signatures at the time.
Right. Now you got your top on there. When's the last time you've had the top on it?
Yeah, so let me jump over here real quick. You guys are going to see the fans that I've got around here. Stay cool. So there is a hard top that goes on the car, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't had it on probably in 5 years. The car shows better as a roadster. What happens is the front windshield will pop off. There's 5 bolts that you pop off there, along with this collar that you see here, and then the hard top just drops down on it.
Okay, because I'm about to say, it looks really good, but obviously it looks better without it. But I don't think I've ever seen it except for in magazines with it on.
So that may have been the last time I had it on.
Okay, that checks out.
I will tell you, it does have air conditioning and it does have power windows. If you'll see the vents, they're star-shaped as well. But to be honest, driving around in Texas, especially during the summer, the best that it'll probably do is about 85 degrees. So inside, and at that point in time, you don't have any wind blowing across you with the hard top. So,
okay. And they look like a Whataburger. You got a Whataburger getting delivered over there? What's that?
So I had a friend of mine. One of the big things in car shows is the guys will actually grab up Whataburger. Well, I don't want to say grab up. Those tend to make it into the back of your cars. And so since it's a 33 Ford, that actually made it. Shout out to David Alonso for that. And then we got the battery cover there as well, is covered in we covered in the pigskin, and then we got a football there that's a custom made Star Mobile One football that I had a handful of players actually sign that as well, so that's kind of cool.
And so all of this in the trunk, obviously you set this up and break it down before you travel with it and all that type of stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah, this is all this is typically what you would see when I went to a show, when I would go to a show.
Gotcha.
What you would see if you came out.
Okay.
So we're going to jump over here, and I want to get a better shot of what you were asking about. You got the Drew Pearson right there, 88.
The original. Look at that big old signature. Wait a minute. Who signed over Drew? How many people signed over Drew? I'm going to put a hit squad out.
I think that's Billy Davis that signed there. Okay. Jim Jeffcoat signed right above him. And then, of course, you see the Randy White. Now, what I'll tell you is Randy White, Jay Novacek up here, and Drew Pearson all signed with a standard Sharpie. Since then, I've gone to a paint Sharpie that has a higher temperature because they're signing over the engine and those types of things. They stand out a little bit better. So those tend to look a little bit more faded, but they're really not. What I will mention to you while I've got you on here, and if we occasionally, you never know who might be listening in, but Jerry Jones, I got a spot right up here on the top of the dash for Jerry Jones if he ever decides to sign the car. So,
hey, it'd be real sweet if we could get to SoFi Stadium on Valentine's Day and break all the haters' hearts, and he come sign it with that Lombardi. You come sign it with that Lombardi and take a picture with you.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. My hope, Barry, is that someday I get to lead a Super Bowl parade.
Wow.
Around AT&T Stadium. So let's. I hope they don't have to bury me. Without me doing that. I
might be there in the next 3 years, man. I can feel it in my bones, baby. I think the stars are aligning for both of us.
You and I are right there then, because I'm thinking that too.
So good deal. Tell us about this this grill in the front, man.
Yeah, so the grill is it's kind of the iconic look of the 33s. It really stands out. It's fully chromed. It's essentially where I get all my airflow and all my cooling coming through there. What I also want to share with you is that when I built the car, I knew that these cars tend to run just a little bit hot. So I had a little extra space on the hood. I actually put this air vent in. Well, that air vent is actually a replica of a 2016 Mustang GT grill that I had 3D printed out of aluminum. And then we used that as the vent for the hood. So there's a lot of nods throughout the car to some other vehicles throughout history. And so I just really wanted to do those things too. And with the kit, it allowed me to do that.
Right.
And it's what I will tell you too is that I should have mentioned this early on is let me step back here real quick. Those that are familiar with cars, I would be retired by now, Barry, if I had $1 for every time somebody told me this was a Plymouth Prowler.
I'm not laughing at your car, but I see what they're doing there.
Yeah, it's not. Hashtag not a Prowler.
No, not a Prowler.
It is a Ford replica. So it's got a 302 small block, just north of about 350 horsepower. I'm 2,500 pounds all in. So it will get up and move. So
how do you respond when somebody says, is that a Plymouth Prowler? Like, what do you say?
Well, typically this is usually how it goes down. Somebody will come up and say, yeah, my neighbor's got one of those. And I'm like, and hey, you know what? I haven't seen every vehicle that's out there, Barry.
Right.
Maybe his neighbor does have one.
Maybe it's a copycat league.
So I'm like, you piqued my interest now. What is it? And he goes, oh, well, it's a Plymouth Prowler. And I'm like, well, it's not a Plymouth Prowler. I understand completely why you might think that. But I said, this is not a Plymouth Prowler. So I started early on with the hashtag not a Prowler. So.
Got you. Well, if you got any remaining questions, get them up in the comments below. This has been an extremely incredible walk around of a one of one, y'all. This is the only one, Star Mobile one.
You are correct, sir.
Well, we appreciate that walk around, Jamie. So if you want to go ahead and we'll sit you back down and look for any more questions and then we'll wrap up here. Yeah. We're just about out of time. I know it's hot in there and I don't want to have you dehydrate on me.
Good. We're good.
Good.
We'll get you back in.
I can really appreciate the fact that you've gone all out in creator mode. You got the stand, you got the microphone, I'm giving you your creator flowers today too, because a lot of old head Cowboy fans, they're not tech savvy.
Yeah, I will tell you that if you go to the, I think on my webpage, there's actually, so this is a lot of people couldn't make out the signatures that you see on there. So what I do is it shows I actually carry this with me, and this is a chronological order of every player that's ever signed the car. And so there's actually on my website, there should be a page that actually has that so that you can physically see who the player was, what their number was, and when they signed.
Yeah, because I see you even got a picture with the mascot of all mascots, Rowdy here. It looks like at the Star with the top on. What was that like? Did Rowdy sign it too?
No, didn't get Rowdy to sign it. And there was also a picture there taken at that same event of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders that we took. Now, what I'll share with you, Barry, is I made a promise a long time ago when I started building this car. I told my wife that I would never have my picture taken with another woman with the car. And so I've honored that. I did not take picture with the cheerleaders. Yeah,
no. Hey, good job. I mean, the cheerleaders in the car, that's enough, baby. Get out of the picture, Jamie. Let's look at what's important.
I got to give a quick shout out too to my wife, because she actually helped me mate the transmission and the engine together before we dropped the engine into this car. So shout out to her. She also helps me whenever I need to bleed the brakes.
Now, she's a Cowboy fan too, right?
She is a Cowboys fan. She got a little bit of Kansas City blood running through her, so she's a Chiefs fan. But what I'm quick to remind her is that, the Chiefs started out down here too in Dallas.
That's, I was just going to say that, you come from an era where Cowboy fans in Dallas were just confused. They had two teams out there.
You're exactly right.
And so as we wrap it up here, get your last minute questions in. The last question that I want to ask you, Jamie, the top 5 people that have not signed it. If you could rank that right now, because I want to write it down. I'm going to make a campaign. We're going to go target these folks this year.
Okay.
Who's your
Okay.
top 5 that you would like to sign? Because I know you're running out of real estate and you got 100. So you're probably going to be selective moving forward. Who are the top 5 you'd like to get signed next?
Okay, I'm going to tell you, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, that would finish out the triplets. CeeDee Lamb, Tyron Smith, Des Bryant, and of course, Jerry Jones.
All right, what 6 names for 6 rings?
There's 6, yeah.
Yeah, we'll run with that. So we got the other seat, we got the other 88s. All right, good. I got this top 5 list. We've got it documented here. You know, I really appreciate your time, because on that note, 88 behavior, this is how this began when we met 2 years ago. And like I said, I really appreciate your time and your dedication, not only with your project, but the other fans too as well, because I know for some folks that aren't built the same, if they had that hot rod, they'd probably roll around and, you know, look at everybody weird. Like, you don't have one of these cars like I do, because I know how Cowboy fans get. You know, Cowboy fans, we always like to one-up each other, but that's not been the case. You're out there in the community, you're doing good things, you're going to these events, and you're taking time. And I'm thankful that you came in here today for episode 3 of my podcast, so my audience is familiar with you. If you have not seen the story yet, make sure you go subscribe to the only blog on the internet, Craig, that is talking about Dallas Cowboy fans, like my guy Jamie. Only one of one, baby. That Star Mobile one. I'll put that link down there in the comments below. So any advice for any new builders out there, Jamie, that if you could go back and tell yourself before you started this project, what would you tell self?
Just you just got to take your time, know your limitations. One of the biggest challenges for me was the wiring. And so I had somebody follow me after I did the wiring just to make sure. So just know your limitations on what you can do and what you can't do, and make sure you involve a lot of people. There's people out there to help you.
That's 100%. And again, it's all about collaboration over competition. I can't wait to see you maybe ride in it again.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
My girlfriend might ride in it. I don't know. Somebody gonna ride in the car at the home opener. But thank you again, Jamie, for joining us. And we're getting ready to sign out here today. So any other plans for the rest of the evening after you log off? Are you working on the car, or are you gonna kick your feet up in the AC?
No, I got an early AM call about 2 o'clock in the morning. So I gotta be up for work. So.
Got you. All right, we're out of here, man. I appreciate you as always, Jamie. We'll stay in contact. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here today on episode 3 of Facebook Fanatic, built for Dallas Cowboys super fans like my guy Jamie. You can call him a super fan or not, but I call him a super fan because that's a super car, baby. So stay tuned for episode 4, because we're going across the border, Jamie. We're going south of the border in Mexico for the International Fan of the Year and the 2024 Fan of the Year for the Dallas Cowboys. So stay tuned next Sunday. We'll see you on the next.
Take care, Barry. We'll see you in September.
Yes, sir. Star Mobile 1 out.
Yeah, my name is Eduardo Flores. I am from Mexico City.
How was that event for you with Roger Goodell?
It was amazing to have the opportunity to ask a question to Roger Goodell. Is something that you never expect to happen. So I wasn't expecting a month ago that I'll be in front of the commissioner of the NFL asking a question. So,
well, I think Roger has a few extra words he would like to share with you today. Roger?
Eduardo,
hi.
congratulations on everything you've achieved. I
Thank you so
heard
much.
your story about how you started the Dallas Cowboys fan club down in
Yeah.
Mexico, and you lost your dad.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that. But we're so proud of you and what you've done. So guess what? You're the International Inaugural Fan of the Year. Congratulations.
Oh my God.